Here I would like to show you some of the RCDs that are available. Single phase and three phase units are the same size if you're using a type B. If you're using a type A, F or AC, the single phase ones are in the conventional 2 module size. Some of the newer RCDs have a position in the middle that they trip to if they trip. So you may have to move it down, as in this one, and then push it up to reset it. It's just to give you the indication that it has automatically tripped rather than being switched off. Now this type AC RCD is the old-fashioned one, which is not suitable for heat pumps, salt generators, variable speed pumps, LED lighting. You must use at least an A. For some heat pumps you need to use an F, which will carry up to 10 milliamps of interrupted current, as can be seen on the video put out by us for ISPI. And if you're going to use any three-phase heat pumps or DC pumps, you must use a type B. It is expensive, it is a nuisance to the industry, but for public safety it's important, and we can always talk to you on the phone to help you through anything else. This is the skeleton of our smaller of our own manufactured panels. This has got 13 modules across the width of the D rail that goes behind here. You will see on the website lots of pictures of these where you can have 1 or 2 thermostats set in to save space. There's room for 4 switches across the front, 3 position switches with indicators, or 8 switches without indicators. It has a lock here to keep the front shut. It's fully adjustable, so whatever you want to put inside it, you've got fixing slots all the way down the side. This DIN rail slides backwards and forwards for different devices. We have a sliding plate bottom if wanted, if you've got large D connectors to bring in or anything unusually large, where you can cable tie across the back to hold it in place. I will show that device in a moment. These boxes come in 4 sizes. There's this side with 13 modules width for people who want to build this type of thing. 2 rows of 13 module giving 26. Enough room for 4 motor starters across the back with switches on the front. The 2 module one obviously gives you 26, but still the same space at the bottom. We then make a 25 module unit wide in a single row, like the same height as this. That will give you enough room for 7 contactors across the back, plus a couple of small relay units if you need them, or power supply. It has a nice versatile front. Again, it will take 2 thermostats if you need them. And then there is a double height one of those where you can get 4 thermostats, and again 7 motor starters across the bottom, and you can get 14 switches on the bottom. Pictures of all of those, loads of them on the website. Have a look. There's a picture number on anything. If you want to ring us up, you want to talk about something, you want it in a particular style, give us a picture number and we can be straight there to help you. This year we're making a internet accessed control panel. It's available in metal or plastic, although the plastic ones are 2 modules less on the width. So this has got a total of 16 modules. This particular one has got an RCD, MCB for filter pump, 3 position switch. Inside, behind where my thumb is, there is a motor starter for any pump size up to 15 amps. If you want anything larger, then it will have to be in a deeper enclosure, but it can be assembled in anything you want it to be in. We've then got a heat pump circuit with local or remote control. We've got a chemical circuit and a lighting circuit and a last circuit is for feeding the BMS control device, because they must all be on the same circuit. Can't mix them up, otherwise you'll lose out on your interlocking when on remote. On the further end here, we've got different sizes of contactors depending on the load, so that you can interface it with. It will work just the same with a BMS or with an internet thing. Most people have their own chosen liked internet device on the low cost end. There are so many out there now, but we've tried to make this versatile, and we'll talk with anybody about what they want. They may want a low voltage interface relay added into it, but just tell us what you want and we can tell you what it will be to do it. It's definitely an up and coming market. I would always recommend that you run 1 or 2 cat cables down to the plant room, so you can put a local Wi-Fi unit there if it's needed. Also covers the garden area near the pool. Wi-Fi from the house has proved in many places for people to be troublesome. We manufacture a online control system with a very nice graphical interface, which can be seen via our website. There is a link on here to it, and that gives you total control. It's the way we're going, and many pieces of pool equipment are going to have fault finding analysis stuff built into the system, so they're going to want Wi-Fi connection or a hardwired connection. I would always reckon that while you're doing the groundwork and you're putting the cables in, put a cable down there, so if the equipment's going to need a hardwire, you've got it there. And it can always be used, if not, for low voltage signalling, so you can switch things from the house end if you want to, without any crossover of where the mains are coming from and earthing problems. We do produce quite a large number of touch plate supports. They're very difficult to put on a screen because they're so reflective, but they can be made to whatever size you want and with whatever number of holes you require, and we can provide you with touch switches with 1, 2 or 3 indicator colours to go with them. Touch switches are a very convenient way to control anything you want. I would still say that some air switches in extremely wet conditions are probably slightly more reliable, but of course you don't get the indication of what's happened. Although I wouldn't say that touch switches were troublesome in any way, but there are the occasional failures. When you're thinking about touch plates, think about the overall size as to whether it's going to cover, especially in refurb jobs, any marks that are there, because if we're making it, it doesn't make much difference to the cost if it's 1 inch or 2 bigger or smaller, and it can be made to cover up anything that is there. The wording is always done individually because every job's different, so we do have to pay an artwork charge to the silkscreen printing people, but that's one of those things. They're not the cheapest of things, but they do look good when done. This is our 1.5 inch thermal well. There's a cable gland on the top. It's very important that the sensor is actually pushed down to the bottom of here, so it's in. It slides straight into a 1.5 inch T. It's got a glue ring around it, which we found very effective. They're available in 50mm, 1.5 inch, and we have supplied a few at 40mm for one particular spa company. Nice and easy, quick to do, and gives you a true temperature. Very often if you put the sensor in a heat exchanger, it will be reading slightly high at times, and can, if you shut the system down and you're using it as a high limit probe, will shut the system off and can interrupt backwashing. So we always recommend using this prior to the heater, just a few inches before it, so that it doesn't get caught up with any excess temperature problems during it's a matter of shutting them when you switch off or in the middle of a backwash. Now these are some of the float switches that we manufacture. Here you can see it in its normal suspended position. There's a colour tracer that runs up the side of the cable. We use 4 different colours, white and black, so it means if you've got up to 6 switches from a distance, you know which one it is that you're working on the end of the cable. Dead easy to get them mixed up. The one over here is shown with the, I'll have to take it off here. This screen protects the actual float switch action, which is here. It has proved very, very useful. Most of the faults we get with float switches is usually hair or debris caught round the float, especially hair, and this has proved very successful to not having that as a problem. They're a pendant float switch, so you suspend them from anything that you like at the top of the tank. They can be used in balanced tanks or wastewater where you want to get hold water to dechlorination for a period of time, and they've proved very successful. For many years we've been a Cruise designer and installer and have used hundreds and hundreds of these devices. They're extremely reliable. There's a lot of different units suitable for different loads. They're either mains voltage or 24 volt. They have all sorts of outputs, and you'll see them, and in a black version, which is the internet connectable version, which you'll see on the website. There's loads of them there. We think they're highly reliable. If we get a problem on a circuit that's got one of these, it's 99.9% certain it's going to be a peripheral device that's not giving it the right signal. We've only had, in 15 years of using them, one screen failure. If they aren't working, it's usually the power supply that somebody's used for it that has failed rather than the product. So I highly recommend them and will always continue using them. This is a screen pic of a remote temperature control system with online monitoring, being using an EM4. This is a screenshot of a system with heating, pumps on, remote control, flushing and purging of jet pumps, etc. This is a fairly simple circuit that is being used for a new cover control replacement. I understand that some cover controllers are no longer available for the older models, so we're making a replacement to be able to do that, and this is a first attempt at that sort of thing. Hold. This is a differential thermostat being used out in the Med by several companies. It looks at the roof temperature, looks at the tank temperature. You can set the differentials that you want in each of the flows. You can set your maximum temperature, and it does what we've been asked to make it do. And there's several of them working out there. In fact, quite a lot of sites working out there. It gets quite warm actually.